Hi everyone, Teresa here. Today I'm doing a little bit of a different print. I'm actually going to be printing on some coin envelopes using these textures that I found out on some of my hikes. I have a moss, a stick, and a rock that I'm hoping will make some interesting textures. I also picked out this little doily. This was from when we went out to eat. It was underneath our one of our little appetizer plates, and so I just decided to take that with me. Next, I picked out some flowers and leaves that I saw along my hikes, and I picked out ones that looked like they could be pressed or would make interesting textures. I had a lot of things to choose from. I picked out these really pretty yellow flowers, and I laid them all out on a piece of paper, and then I kind of squeezed it between two magazine pages and put some books on top of it and let that set overnight just so they could flatten a little bit. They weren't hard. Obviously, it would take a lot longer for them to really press, but they were good enough for me to print with. So my coin envelopes, I'm just making sure they fit on my Gelli plate. They're only going to fit if I fold the top flap down, and then they're just slightly smaller than the gel plate. This doily is made out of deli paper, so it doesn't really stick, so I'm just letting it rest here. I'm using it as a little stencil so that I can put some of my perfect pearls in the little openings just to capture some of that design. And then I'll be able to use this little doily for a few other prints as well. I'm using 3 colors, my gold, my light gold, and my copper. And that just makes a nice little design on the top part of where my envelope is going to be. I wanted to have some kind of a little butterfly element. I have these stencils that I brought with me. It's kind of a little pack of different stencils. They were thin and they have a little ring binder that they all fit on. So I have several different ones that came in this little pack. I used these butterflies because it kind of reminded me of being out in nature here, and there's lots of butterflies. So I thought that was going to be nice and bring in some more of the perfect pearls with those butterflies. For the paint, I wanted lighter colors, so to mix them up, I am putting some white with a purple and a light blue, and I also added in a magenta. I'm mixing them on my magazine page over to the side just because I didn't want some blobs of color. I wanted it to blend pretty nicely. Now I knew the coin envelope wasn't going to take the entire width of my Gelli plate, so I'm focusing my paint just kind of in the middle area where I know I want to pull those butterflies and the little doily design. Now in order to get enough pressure, I put down a piece of paper. This is just some 24-pound copy paper that I brought, and I'm just going to press that just to remove some of the edge, but also to make sure the envelope was pressed down enough. Once it dried, I pulled it up. It didn't capture some of the corners. I guess I didn't have enough pressure on the corners. They started kind of folding up, which I didn't realize, but it's okay because it still looks like a lot of the design is there. Just a little bit of the butterfly on the bottom, the wings didn't come through. So next I wanted to, since I have like a little template now of where my coin envelope is going to be, I just wanted to use up the rest of that paint that I had mixed up. So I'm using another one of those stencils. This one looks like rocks and then bricks are on the other side, but I wanted to use the side that looks like rocks, mixing up these blue and purple colors, kind of giving a little bit of a grayish, purple gray color. Once that dried, I decided to put this kind of, it looks like tree trunks and sticks. I put that over the back of it, and I used my white perfect pearl color, and I just used that along all of those little sticks. And that made a nice little addition with the pearl powders. I kind of wanted to stick with a little bit of pearl powders in each of my prints. Next, I mixed up some more paint. This was a light orange. It was actually a Naples yellow, a yellow, and a white. I'm using an off-white. The Parchment is the name of the paint color. And then I used my paper again. I wasn't lining it up very particularly because I couldn't really see where that little outline was. So I was hoping I was lining it up correctly. I was only off just a little bit so you can see the line on the one side. It also picked up some of the pearl powders from the first print from the doily up at the top, which I think was really nice. I like that it added a little something up there. So what I decided to do, since I couldn't really see that line through the paint layers, is I decided to clean my jelly plate by just putting down a layer of some gray paint. And I just put that on my scrap piece of paper, let it dry, and then just pulled that up. This is just the ghost print of the tree limbs. Now I mixed up some light green, yellow, and some magenta. I mixed those with white. I lost some footage here. I actually laid down my little flowers and leaves, and then I put that gray area over the top of it to press it in and remove some of that paint. And then here's what I was left with. I just pulled the rest of those flowers and leaves off of the gel plate to reveal the design of my sort of pressed flowers. Once that dried, I came in with some more perfect pearls. I really liked how the gray looked on that scrap piece, so I mixed up gray with my parchment just to make a lighter gray color. And I just put that right behind the dried print with the pearl powders now. And now I'm ready to put my next coin envelope down. And I'll just use the back side of that scrap piece of paper just to press it in. And you can definitely see the little pops of the pearl powders sticking out from the background here. So next we're going to do another print, but this time I wanted to bring in my magazine text, also some pictures. So I have this picture that I didn't know if it was going to work. I thought the colors were pretty, but I know that won't transfer. So I thought maybe if the tree trunks and the reflection area will transfer, I would just give it a try. This is again from one of those magazines that we just get on the roadside from one of the welcome centers. And this did transfer quite nicely. You can definitely see where it went from the picture and had the text up on the top area. Mixing up a few more colors here, I've added in a darker green, but mixing it with white as well. And just kind of make it look like kind of like water, then grass, then like a sunset sky, just to give it some interest. Now I do want to also add another layer of some texture so that I can add more pearl powders to this one. So I am adding in this, it's like a little mossy thing that I got from one of the trees. And then I have my sticks and the rock. The rock I'm just kind of pressing down towards the bottom, and then the stick I will press in to make it look kind of like tree trunks coming out of that water area. Once it dried, I added in my pearl powders. And then I put some parchment paint over the top to pull this print. I thought this print turned out really cool. I do love how the text was in there and the kind of grainy image. It makes you wonder what is it, but it does kind of resemble a little bit of a swamp with some of the blues in there and the reflection. I just think it turned out really pretty, and I do love how the colors are in there and a little bit of the pearls in the background. I have the other side of that magazine page that I thought looked interesting as well. So I went ahead and did another layer of some black paint, and this time I'm layering just part of that image of that fall tree and then some of the text again. And this one transferred very nicely as well. Mixing up a few more colors off to the side. This time I've got kind of an orange, magenta, purple, and then a blue and green at the bottom of that. Just trying to brayer those out and get them to blend. The green got a little bit lost, but it was still kind of underneath there somewhere. Going back in with my flowers and my leaves, I'm kind of just pressing those because again I want another area, a layer, where I can put my pearl powders in. And this time, instead of using a piece of paper to press down on my leaves and flowers, I'm just using this moss and the rock to press that in. I'm trying to find the flatter side of the rock. But it also gives some texture in the area around those flowers and leaves. Once I removed those, I did come in with my little stick just because I really liked the texture that I was getting from this. And then I was able to transfer some of that paint to the open area there and just kind of make it look a little more interesting. Here's my layer of the pearl powders that I added behind the little sticks and flowers and leaves. And again, I'm bringing in some parchment to pull this one. I went ahead and put my coin envelope off to the side this time, and I thought maybe I can get some of the design that's on the right hand side on the top parts of some of those coin envelopes. I was able to get a nice little transfer here. I didn't do that for all of them, only for those two. And then here is the last one that I made in this. Again, you can really see the stick design on this one, which I think looks really interesting. I think it has a lot of cool texture. And here are the completed coin envelopes that I made. I ended up making 5 variations, and I used a combination of my stencils, my sticks, my leaves, my rock, and some magazine pages. I think they all turned out so cool. I really do love those pops of the pearl powders in there, and it kind of ties them together. And I also really love the colors. They're more spring-like colors to me, and I feel like they kind of all tie in really well because they were a lighter version of their colors. So let me know in the comments, what did you think of this technique using the textures on a coin envelope instead of just a jelly print? I will probably be using these coin envelopes to put in little gifts and gift them to some of my family members. So I would love to know, which one did you like the best, or which technique on these envelopes did you enjoy watching and seeing, or which one would you try to do yourself? I think my favorite is the blue-green kind of swamp looking one that has the text on the top, but all of them are really fun. I also do like the one with the sticks and the yellow. It's really pretty. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for sticking around, and I will see you in the next video. Happy crafting, y'all.